My name is Alex from Visordown, and today we're looking at the Honda CB500X, which is sat beautifully in the back garden here as it is. So this is the CB500X from Honda. It's a solid mid-range motorcycle aimed at the beginner market and those who are looking for a bit of a sensible commuter option. So I've had the CB500X here for around 2 weeks now, and it got delivered with next to no miles on. It was around 66 miles. So I really had to be taking it quite easy when I was breaking this one in. And thanks to your guys' comments in the first impressions video, I knew to basically just ride it as normal, but just not sit too high in the rev range when it comes to the top speed side stuff. So all good there, thanks for the comments. So what's new for 2021 on the CB500X? Well, there's the rear subframe here, which is inspired by the Africa Twin. There's the decals, and it's a Euro 5 engine. It's got rubber engine mounts, and that's really it. But that doesn't mean it's not a good adventure motorcycle for a beginner. And Honda have really taken a lot of time here to get it quite a versatile tourer. But we'll get into that in a minute. Now, this is a parallel twin engine down here. It's 471cc, and it outputs around 47 brake horsepower at 8,600 revs and around 43 newton meters of torque at 7,000 revs. And these are perfectly usable figures in the real world. You can have a lot of fun riding this one around on the back roads. It's going to be very economical when you're in the towns, and when you're motorway or highway riding, it's going to be absolutely fine for the fuel efficiency. It's a 17.7 litre tank, including the reserve, and you can easily get around 100 miles per gallon on that. This is the parallel twin, and it will also be found in the CB500F and the CBR500R, as well as the CMX Rebel 500. So shared across the range, and Honda have built this as a really nice, accessible, beginner-friendly and A2 compliant motor, which is, as I say, shared across the range. It's really easy to ride, really forgiving, and yeah, it's got enough poke when you really push into it and when you really need it. And I found it a lot of fun to ride on the road. Now, what's this one like to ride on the back roads? I mean, it may not be a Fireblade, but the piston shape is the same, apparently, as the Fireblade. So it's got that going for it. But it is a lot of fun on the back roads, and you can really start leaning into corners and really getting into the B-road lifestyle, as it were. Now, of course, this bike is going to be set up as something you can use as a commuter, and it really is, in my mind, set up as the perfect touring motorcycle. But you really can take this off-road and have a great laugh on the green lanes and the fire lanes. Of course, whether it's legal or not is permitting in your country, but for us, we had great fun on the off-road trails near us, and it was really held its own on the road and off-road. Now, this one comes, of course, with a stock can, as you can see, and it does sound really nice. We'll cut to some engine sound and exhaust sound here. Amazing, it sounds incredible, doesn't it? I mean, for a stock can, it's not too bad at all. Do sometimes feel that the exhaust is holding the bike back a tiny bit, especially at the top end, but it sounds great for a stock can, and it doesn't look too bad. Some people might want to straight away change the can for something else, but if this was my bike, I'd probably stick with the can as it is. Now, another thing to note on the motor here is the fact that at the top of the red line, it does start to peter out in terms of power. That's only really when you get to around 9,000 to 10,000 revs, which is the red line. Of course, that's no problem at all. You just have to shift up and go through the 6-speed gearbox. And yeah, you're absolutely fine there. I found the 6-speed gearbox really easy to use. You can really click it into gear and just click through the gears nice and easily. So of course, it's assist and slipper clutch as well. And the clutch is so light, it literally just feels like you're closing your fist. It's like there's nothing there at all. Now, speaking of the riding and the riding position, this one's nice and upright. You've got the pegs right beneath you, and it's an 830mm seat. So you sit in a decent level. It's not going to be too tall for most riders, and everyone can get on it and off it easily. Of course, the 830mm seat is nice and soft as well. And after long rides, and if you're off-road and just generally using the bike all day, you can come off it feeling fine. I mean, yesterday I was on the bike pretty much all day, off-road, on-road, covering a good amount of miles, and came off it feeling fine. There was no problems, no aching in the limbs, no aching in the arms, legs, absolutely fine. And considering I'm 6'3", weighing 15 stone, that can be something that is a bit of a pain point on some bikes, shall we say. Handlebars are nice and wide, and the screen is nice and tall to deflect the wind over you as well. So this is a really capable touring motorcycle. So the CB500X weighs in at 197 kilograms wet, so it's a pretty okay weighted bike. I mean, you know, for me, it's fine to maneuver about. As I say, I'm quite tall, so I found it absolutely fine. Another bit as well is riding this with a pillion. Now, I did have a chance to ride around for a little bit of a pillion on, and it is completely fine. I mean, the pillion seat is really big, and there's grab handles, and is comfortable enough for the pillion with the rear pillion pegs as well. So pillion is absolutely fine, and town riding is, you know, that's where the miles per gallon really is good, around 90 miles per gallon without even trying, so no problems there at all either. Now, you may have seen Toad's review from 2020 on this bike, and one of the things he noticed was at higher speeds, so 65 miles an hour and up, the engine starts to get a bit vibratey, or, you know, you feel the vibration through the handlebars. Now, I think this is something that Honda have dealt with without really bringing much attention to it, by adding some rubber engine mounts on as well. Now, when it comes to off-roading, we can cut to when I was off-roading and riding on the green lanes now. But if not, I mean, it's absolutely capable on the off-road trails. If you're going over jumps, bumps, sand, gravel, dirt, anything, it will be able to handle it. You can get it a little bit dirty and muddy, and it's absolutely happy with that as well. Nice and capable off-road, put it that way. Now, something that you will notice off-road is the fact that it doesn't really have much in the way of adventure accessories as standard. So it doesn't have any sort of engine protector bars, it doesn't have any knuckle guards, it doesn't have the sort of standard adventure stuff that you'd be looking for unless you start flicking through the Honda catalogue. Of course, that's not a problem at all, because the price is then going to be considering the fact that it is completely standard, and the price is £6,119. The 180mm ground clearance is fine. I mean, I haven't bottomed out on this when I was going over a few of the bigger jumps, shall we say. It was absolutely fine. And the suspension is nice and soft as well. It will soak up any of the smaller bumps and really soak up some of the larger ones. You know, it's a 41mm telescopic fork at the front and a rear monoshock. Both have got preload adjustment, and the rear is a 5-step preload adjuster. So you've got that going, and yeah, it's nice and soft suspension, perfectly capable off-road, and nice and soft on the road when you're riding around just generally as well. When it comes to the brakes as well, you've got Nissin brakes front and rear, and they're wavy discs. So it's 310mm on the front, and the front wheel, whilst we're there, is 19-inch. And on the rear, you've got a 240mm disc on the 17-inch rear wheel. Both do have ABS. Of course, they're going to be ABS as standard. You can't switch the rear ABS off, unfortunately. And the brakes operate absolutely fine. You know, it's only a single disc on the front. And the last couple of bits that, you know, something that I have noticed on this one is the dash. And the dash is clear and visible on a normal day. Like today is pretty grey, and when you switch it on, you can see it absolutely clearly. But it's just when you get into the sunlight and a bit of glare on the screen, it starts to get a little bit more difficult to read. The standard stuff is there, and you know, you would expect to see a little bit more when it comes to rider modes and being able to flick through from, say, an adventure mode to a road mode to rain mode, and then to be able to switch the rear ABS off. I know Honda have got this, so why not put it on the bike as an option or just as standard? When it comes to colours as well, this one is the Grand Prix red. There's also white and black, and it's fairly standard in terms of the colour options. I do really like this red though, so I'd be looking at this. The price of the Honda CB500X is £6,119, or from, as standard. So it is a bit up there in terms of the price. You can look at some of the alternatives of maybe the KTM or the Kawasaki Versys, or maybe even the Suzuki V-Strom, and you can start looking at those options. And maybe even if you're looking for an adventure bike, consider the Yamaha Tenere 700, but then you are starting to really add on some pounds. For £6,119, you're getting the Honda reliability, and you're getting the fun of riding this around, as well as the sensible economy and the low insurance costs and everything thrown in. So yeah, you really have to consider this one up there as one of the options. Bear in mind as well, this is going to be, of course, perfect for a rider stepping up from a 125 for maybe their A2 license or their full license, and they've got their lofty heights of the Africa Twin, but they don't want to go there just yet. So they want to step up gradually and maybe go to the CB500X. And this is perfectly there and very capable as an adventure bike and a sensible, just general road bike and commuter. So if you can't go for the Africa Twin, maybe go for this one. It's like the Africa Cousin, or the Africa... Yeah, we'll just go with Africa Cousin. I think that's basically what I'd call this one. The rear subframe sells it for me as an Africa Twin, and it does handle well on-road and off-road. So yeah, if you get one of these, you definitely need to take it on a light green lane and just see how you get on, because I had a lot of fun, and I don't even have that much experience on green lanes. So yeah, definitely try that one out. Last couple of bits here. So there's 3 things I like and 3 things I dislike. It's something we do all the time on Visordown. So the versatility is number 1 for this. Now, it's a very versatile bike, and I like the fact that what you put in, you get out. If you want it to be a sensible commuter, it's got you. And if you want to take it off-road and start hooning about a little bit, it can do that as well. So the versatility is great on this bike. Another thing I like is the size. Now for me, this bike feels comfortable to ride and it's completely my size really. Of course a smaller rider can get on it, but so can I. And the third thing I like about the bike is the economy. Now that's not just the miles per gallon, but it's also going to be the insurance cost and just generally the amount of money it's cost to run one of these. And then 3 things I don't like. So number 1 would be the rider modes. I think for an adventure bike or a cross adventure bike like this, I'd really be looking for some adventure modes or some rider modes to select from, or at the very least to be able to turn off the rear ABS if you're going green laning or off-road. I think that's pretty vital for an adventure bike. Number 2, what I don't really like about the bike is the jerky throttle. Now this is something that's been on the bike for a few models now, and I think it is about time that Honda maybe sort it out, perhaps with a ride-by-wire throttle, or just generally looking at the throttle response on this one. I passed my test on the CB500X and it wasn't really that bad, so it's definitely there to look at. And number 3, what I don't like is the screen. It's okay, it's not that bad, but I was really just looking for a third up point here, to be honest with you. The screen, it's clear and it gives you the information, but for it to be upside down LCD and not really be that visible in the sunlight, for me is a bit of a... So this has been the Honda CB500X. Of course, let me know what you think about the review and the bike down in the comments below. Of course, whilst you're there, subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you stay up to date with all of Visordown's latest content. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Alex, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.